What it look like, it's your boy Seven Sins here to let y'all know the time is now. The podcast for the people is here. Actuality Speaks, where if it ain't real talk, please be quiet. We about to get down to what's real and what y'all really want to know. So get at me via Facebook, Instagram, email, Actuality Speaks. Get with me. It's your boy, Easy. Welcome to Actuality Speaks, the second segment. Got a special guest today, Miss Ayana Bean. She's been featured on BET American Gangster, Trap Queens, man. True story of your back against the wall and doing what you gotta do to survive.
Hi.
It is a pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know, quick story, I got at her at the beginning of the year before this evil little bitch COVID came into fruition and just kind of paused everything. Mm-hmm. But her being a real one, I reached back out and she was still interested to come. Yep. And she's here and I'm excited. We're about to hear this story. Yes. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, and I just wanted to say that I'm proud of you. I'm happy that, yes, you did reach out to me at the beginning of the year, and you said you were going to do something, and you got it done, and you reached back out to me, and I remembered, and I'm glad that you did it.
Real,
so that's good. I'm proud of you.
I didn't even think she was going to get back at me. I'm being real. I just sent the message. I'm like, I saw her on the Breakfast Club. I'm like, yo, man, I'm gonna reach out. She's from the hometown. I'm like, I gotta reach out. But
you gotta take a chance.
Take a chance. I'm like, most people don't. So then she reached back out like quick too. I was like, oh shoot.
Because I'm always on Instagram.
Wow. That was ill.
I'm always on the shade room, so.
Yeah, the shade room something else.
Right.
Like no lie, but I mean, let's jump off from the start.
Let's do it.
The youth, so just. From Boston, of course. Right?
I'm from Boston, of course.
Yeah.
And I will say that I'm from Mattapan.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's where I grew up.
Right.
So I think we lived Mattapan right on Morton Street, between Morton and Blue, just a couple of doors down from Frank's Place, and right around the corner from Chez Vu. So I say probably about maybe 8 years old, probably 7, 8 years old. So, we remained there till I was a teenager, so that's where I grew up. But, my parents, they migrated from the South. So my mother's from Birmingham, Alabama. So they lived in like East Boston projects, and then academies, and then over in, Jamaica Plain. So, that I was a little kid. Right. But I grew up in that fan.
Right. Now, what was the energy like back then, as far as
wow? I feel like it was wild. I feel like it was wild west kind of thing. I want to say even the 80s was a wild time for everybody. You would be like a person that grew up back then, my age. I don't think there was any hope that you would make it past being a teenager at that time. So I say it was pretty wild. I think that a lot of things were introduced to the urban community at that time.
That was the big
crack era.
Yeah.
It was a wild time.
Right.
I remember my first funeral I went to I was 13.
Yeah. Wow.
Why is someone my age being murdered? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was, it was wild. But right now, I feel like it's reminding me of that time.
It's bringing you back to that.
Yeah, it reminds me of that time. Like there's kids seem to be even younger, and they're smarter. Right. Because there's more access to knowledge, information. So they're a little bit more organized, really. Right. But it's still just unorganized and wild. Right.
Because I look at it like you said, they're smarter.
Yeah.
But I feel like
they have access.
It's funny because even with all the access that they have,
why is that?
Yeah. Like why?
I don't know what this thing is with kids that. Well, let's talk about it. Being gangster and emulating what you consider to be ill. Why is our thinking
that way?
That's the right way, or you need to be that, because if you're not that, then you're a sucker.
Then you're a sucker.
Right. You know, so say for instance, someone who comes home from jail doing 20 years a week, oh, that's a dog. You know what I'm saying? You give them praise. It's like,
what?
Why do you feel that? Do you understand what do you think that person feels like? Because let's be honest, when people come home from jail, you don't hear the stories that really come from jail. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a big part of what kids are missing these days. Like, it's not ill to go to jail. Like, you have to understand, if you're a kid who can't sit still or you don't like to be told what to do, then jail is not a place for you. You know what I mean? And if you're a person who needs to run with a bunch of people and you don't know how to stand on your own too, jail is not the place for you. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that we emulate and that idolize and we look up to that really doesn't make a lot of sense. Right. And it just seems it's a generational thing. It is. Because that continues to go.
It does. And
you know, it hasn't stopped.
It's crazy though. Like, just that. I mean, that thought process, and it's something that almost make you go crazy if you try to think it too much, because it's like you're trying to make it make sense, but it's just
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Even it was like as a young black man. Right. Yeah, I fell into that a little bit. Right. But then it's like my thinking after a while was like, hold up. Why do I have a problem with this dude?
You have no reason. Because as a child you do childish things, and once you become a man you do things as a man. You know what I mean? Right. So, you know, the Bible tells you that. You know? You know? So I don't know why that is, but it's an interesting topic. You know? You have a lot of kids right now, just think, you know, kids that are incarcerated. Can't have your parents visit you right now during this COVID-19. How do you think that those kids are holding up? Right, mentally. You know what I mean? Mentally, it's everyone's on lockdown. We out in the free world are on lockdown. Right. People inside are on lockdown, and then they're on real lockdown. You know, they can't do anything, and then there's a killer virus going on. Right. You have COs that come in and out of the prison carrying the disease every day. I mean, you know, it's a wild time. It's a time of the unknown. Right. It really is. Right. You know? So, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. It's definitely not easy. I feel, you know, people are going to start, people are going to start really going nuts if they don't learn patience through this.
No, this is true. I mean, we've already seen examples of it.
We've seen it. We've seen it with the whole election.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's the government loving hip hop, I swear. Like, it's reality TV. I never would have figured that. I mean, I knew politics was a crazy thing, but the way that this thing is going on, you have the president and the president-elect. He literally told him, man, shut up. Like,
wasn't that crazy?
I was like, oh, this got real. It just got super real.
It was no difference of you watching two regular people in a fight, in an argument, right? And that's what, you know, I don't like to be too political, but that's what I saw. Right. You know what I mean? That's what I see. And, you know, it's a different time for everybody. Right. You know, now is the time for people to really be aware of what's going on, really kind of know what laws are, really kind of know what government is. You know, and now is the time. If this didn't just show you, then, you know, you lost. Right, you really lost right lacking now. Something. Right, even right now, the educational system. Right, what's happening? This whole
homeschooling thing for all these kids.
It's not working for no kids. What if you have a kid with disabilities?
Right.
You have a kid with disabilities and you're saying sit at home. They tell the kids they can't be in their bed. All right, so you have a parent household, single parent household, 4 kids in it. Everyone's in a different grade. Right. 2-bedroom apartment. Where's the space?
That's mayhem.
Where's the space for these kids to go?
No, seriously. It's so crazy. Like, I don't know how this thing's gonna unfold.
I don't mean it's the unknown. It really is the unknown, and you really have to do a lot of thinking. You have to do a lot of thinking, a lot of meditation, a lot of learning things that you just don't know. Right. You got to get uncomfortable, because this is the most uncomfortable situation.
Seriously though,
it's the most uncomfortable situation that you're gonna be in.
And the crazy part is, I feel like, and we were just talking about this when I was at my house. Everybody's uncomfortable. It's not just us, in you know, the urban community or, you know, the lower tier. Everybody's feeling something.
Rich, poor,
we're feeling it.
Middle class, everybody.
And that's the craziest thing. I feel like it is making a lot of people wake up.
It is.
Definitely.
so that's what, like, I'm comparing those times to back then and now,
Right.
because I feel like there's more busyness in the streets, really.
Mhm.
And so now when you have your PUA drying up and things are not, you know what I mean, then you're gonna have, crime's gonna be on the increase. Where's the mental health for people?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where's the assistance for people? So I think that it reminds me of back in the 80s, so to speak. But the driving force back then, the pandemic back then was drugs, was crack cocaine. So,
right.
And there's no question that was a pandemic for the urban community.
Absolutely.
And now just the world is getting a pandemic of, knowing what it was like back then for
Right.
kids that were in our communities.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's how I'm seeing it right now. But just trying to stay focused.
You have to.
Yeah.
The best way you can.
Right.
I might as well say.
Absolutely.
How was it like? You come from a big family as far as siblings and.
Well, there's 3 of us total. So my mother has 3 daughters.
Okay.
Yes. So there's 3 of us. I'm the oldest, obviously.
Team.
Team
I'm the oldest.
So you know how it is,
right?
I have two other sisters, and my youngest sister and I are 10 years apart.
Yeah.
And then my middle sister and I are 5 years apart, so it's just 5, space out of 5. And it's interesting, growing up. I mean, I had 5 years to be the only kid, so I was spoiled.
You're good.
I was spoiled for a long time, but I loved getting my sisters, kinda,
Right.
just a little bit.
Right.
But it was, I wasn't, totally by myself. But then it's kind of like, you be the older sister, then you want to be the mother, then you're everything, and then everybody's supposed to listen to you, right?
Right.
So, when they got a certain age, that just didn't work no more. It doesn't work to this day.
Not true. Because now I'm just like, my hands are up. You guys are grown.
That's right.
I come from I'm the oldest of 6.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's like we were deep.
Oh, goodness.
And then everybody kind of had their role.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, as far as like I have my brother after me, Jeff, who's we're like a year and some change apart.
Okay,
but
so y'all the time.
Then the gap, but then to get this, like, the gaps kind of grow a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the youngest just turned 20.
Oh, gosh.
You know what I'm saying?
So y'all
so
like the
like,
grandparents to him.
In a sense, yeah. So, you know what I mean? Of course, my man walks around, he got it all figured out. But it's like, bro, I come from this.
Right. And that's another funny thing. People think that everything that everyone does is remixed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's nothing new.
Just new players. That's the
There's
same
nothing.
game.
You're right. And there's nothing new that's going on. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have, and that's what we're supposed to do. When you're older, anyone younger, friends, siblings, or what have you, associates behind you, you're supposed to give them that knowledge and wisdom of those situations, different situations, or give them your advice, or let them know that. And it's not to say because you did it better,
right,
or the answer.
Right.
It's just to let them know that I understand because I was in
right,
in a situation like this, and this is what I did in it. And later on in life, I got to look back at it and say, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
Or maybe now I know 10 other ways that would have worked out better.
Right.
So it's not we're supposed to learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your role is being, more older, being more mature. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
situations.
Right, but not everyone wants to listen, and you could relate to that because at a certain time in your life you weren't able to receive the messages that were coming to you.
Exactly.
You weren't ready for that. But when you get to the time where it's time for you to receive things, then now you know what it is. Now it kind of slow paces you.
Exactly.
Which pretty much with B in my story, I feel like I was running circles around myself. You know what I mean? So, as a kid, looking for attention, growing up trying to figure out where you fit in life and what's supposed to be happening. I was in Metco school, so I was going out to Sudbury, coming home to Moore Street. So I was like, this is great.
Like you said in the special, it was 2 different worlds.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I thought was dope was because again, something I identified with. And you were like, all right, well, I'm here, so it's like you thought of that hustle with the candy.
Yeah.
And like back, I ended up in school in Avon. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, at that time too. I mean, they've they've mixed it up a lot more
now. But back
but
then,
at that time it was like, okay, these white boys, these white girls, you know, they're from here or from wherever the hell are in the area, Holbrook, and it's not like, so it's like these are places I never heard of.
Never.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm now I'm, and of course they're in love with the whole. Like the mystique of being
You're
coming from the hood. Like,
got friends in the hood.
I want to hear the story. So it's like you learn and you gotta work around that. So it's like I'm hustling CDs. This is a time where we was downloading CDs and doing all this nonsense and making mixtapes for them because they had to act or their parents didn't want to listen to that anyway. So it's like you have to make it work for you.
Sneak it.
But, exactly. But like you said, it's two different worlds. Like literally two different worlds.
Yeah, it's but one of the things that I acknowledge and I love about it is at that time back then I hated it. Right. I hated it. But if I didn't know the differences, then I wouldn't have had any goals to reach anything else. You know what I mean? So I really I used to fight my mother in high school that I want to get out of this school. I don't want to go here no more. It's like I'm over this. Right. You know what I mean? I'm over it. And so I finally was able to get out. And then when I got to Boston Public School and I had to walk through the metal detector, I was like,
you're like, hold up.
Oh, this is
like, hold up.
This is crazy because comparing the two, where I was at was like a college, and now I'm come here. This is like county jail.
Detention center. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's like.
Right. It was a big difference. And there shouldn't be a difference in our education. Why is that?
There shouldn't.
Why does there even have to be a METCO program for us to be for our kids in the city to be bussed out to another suburban town? So we're already saying our education system is different. All right, so then why aren't we just, changing the education
right. Why won't we change it? It seems so simple, doesn't it?
It should be.
It so simple.
What's the difference? The difference is that they live in the suburbs and they don't live in the city.
Right.
And why is the education different though?
Right. All because of this, the pigmentation.
Right.
And that's so crazy.
It is crazy, and it's not. I didn't think of all of that when I was.
No, of course, you're not thinking about that at the time, but
you feel privileged to be able to go to a different school.
Right.
It's like the equivalent of private school.
Right.
It's the equivalent of private school, but then in the suburbs, before they get to high school, they leave that school and they go to actual private schools. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to know the whole game to play. Right. Same as if you have kids that play, sports. All right, you're not gonna get nowhere in this type of school. You need to go to the private schools. You need to learn how these avenues. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Right. But that's what we learned this.
This is true.
Maybe we may feel that we learned it too late. Right. But actually, you really learned it on time, or when you needed to know.
Yeah, I definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
Damn, I could have. Why didn't I know this then? But you can't beat yourself up for things like that.
No, you can't. You can't. You just gotta accept it, acknowledge it, know it, and pass it on to the next person that can learn better from it. That still has the time. Pay it forward, just like you said. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's not seriously. So now I want to dig more into the family essence of it. Now you mentioned you had the bonds you had with your father. Right.
Yeah.
And also the negative side of it all too. So I don't know if you want to touch base on that. So
absolutely.
So basically, your dad was a pretty abusive guy.
Well, this is what I'll say. Because when I was doing the show, everything was I just met this person 2 seconds here, run this story.
Right.
So it's kind of like you're saying things and maybe it's not coming out in the right context. So I'm glad that you asked me that so that I have a chance to revisit this question.
Why I want these type of conversations because again you watch these things on TV and it's kind of all doctored up and then put together in a certain way. But I like for the person to say it themselves. Like you really get to talk about it. So
absolutely. My father and I growing up, I feel like my family was perfect. Growing up, my family was perfect. So I don't want to say that my father was like, he's the funniest. He's in our family, he's the funniest uncle. He is, right? He's a great guy. But again, times and things happen. Him and my mother knew each other in middle school. They, dated in high school, had a child. They're young people themselves, learning life. Rioting and all those things were going on in those times. Again, drugs come into play, alcohol comes into play, and this is the world that they lived in. Right. So When I was young, everything was totally fine to me in my eyes. To see mom and dad were at home, we're in the same house. You know, we lived, but things got rocky.
Right.
Things got rocky just as in any other relationship.
Right.
You know, that, you know, at some point in their lives they grew apart, and my father was doing one thing and my mother was doing another, you know, and they clashed at that. So there was, you know, there was fighting, there was arguments, you know, but there was physical altercations in the house. And to me, as a kid, that affected me a lot because, again, I have this happy home, right? I have both of my parents. Things should be this fairy tale.
Right, the way that you picture it,
right,
or that you might see it elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Like, and you see that and you're like, wait, what's going on?
You don't know. You're a kid.
You don't get it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't know. You're a kid and you don't know how to interpret what's going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All you know is that it's something that feels wrong.
Right. It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. You know, there was times that I was afraid, I was scared. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, I just lock myself in my room or just stay in there and wait. And then hopefully they'll be cool the next day or something like that. You know, there was a, you know, a couple of rough incidents that occurred. I don't want to, now that I'm writing the book, it's more clarity that's come to me. But there were incidents that were violent.
Right.
And those incidents eventually led to me living in a single parent home. You know, one of the things that I continue to say is like, you know, I used to pray like that it would stop.
Right.
You know, but in doing that prayer, it's like, then my dad left and I was like, oh man, I don't even know how to pray right. Like that's not what I was. I didn't pray him out. I didn't want him to leave.
You know what I'm saying? You end up blaming yourself in a sense.
Yeah.
You're like, dang, what I did didn't work. So it's like,
right.
am I part of the problem? Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You're a kid, so you don't know how to interpret these things. Right. And that's what I like for my whole life. Even like right now, I always said I prayed the wrong way.
Right.
Because dad ended up leaving.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, it's also kind of a little selfish now that I hear myself say that. Because look, I'm the kid.
True.
But this was their life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I really had nothing to do with that.
Right, absolutely. It was not your fault at all.
It wasn't my fault at all. It doesn't matter how I prayed. The situation. My mother's prayer could have been stronger than mine.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? It's all about what was supposed to happen.
Right.
You know, and when you're in something toxic,
right.
You know, eventually it will come to an end.
That's true.
You know, so that's my new piece on about my. You know, I love my dad to death. And you know, a child, a daughter, you know, that's the first man that you love is your dad.
Right.
You know, so there's things that I didn't, because he was gone so early in my life. There's things that I wasn't trained by him to do. You know, when it comes to how I'm supposed to carry myself as a young lady, you know, the way that a father would raise his daughter.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, I miss a lot of things from that. And I'm not saying that if he was there that he would taught me those things either.
But it's just
I would have had my father there.
You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know how it would have been.
Right, absolutely. So that's the those are, you know, that's what comes into play. You know, and that's just life. That's how life goes. I don't have any resentment towards my father to this day. Right. You know, but we joke about
right.
we joke about the things that happen.
Like what's the relationship like today? So like yeah.
You know, I feel like we're always good. You know, that's my dad.
Right.
I don't hate my dad at all. You know, I don't. I can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my father. So, you know, even though I don't see him all the time or every day or whatever, but that's me anyways as a person. I can have a friend that we've been friends for 20 years. I might not talk to them or call them in a whole year, but then I'll call like, girl, can you believe what happened to so-and-so? It's the same energy.
I feel you on that.
You know, I'm not, it doesn't mean I'm acting funny.
That's real friendship. That's a real bond. That's real bond. That's real friendship. That's just how, to me, that's just how it's supposed to be. Yeah. If you know, if somebody's really with you, then it really doesn't matter how long, because I have those true fews that
absolutely
we might not talk in years. Because
like, don't take it personal.
Don't, because at the end of the day, like when you get older, things change. We can't chill every day. We can't talk every day. I have my kids. You got your kids. We got jobs. We got this, and we got a life.
Things go on.
When we do speak, it's like we never lost a beat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I respect those kind of relationships. Right. I don't respect the ones that are just, it's not a fair weather friend type of situation. You know what I mean? Fair weather friends, of course, you know, they come around when things are good, they go when things are bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Me, it does, you know, if I'm going through something, I'm not reaching out really to anyone.
Right.
And I mean, I once had a friend who told me, girl, I don't know, you could be on a boat drowning and you would look and act the same way as if you were not gonna drown.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I am like that, and I think that those are characteristics that I developed as a kid.
Right.
You know, because there were things that were happening. Look, I can't be a kid that's going out of the house like my parents are fighting. You know what I'm saying? I learned to, as a child, I learned to be secretive and be discreet because, you know, in our urban community, what do you not do? You don't go out this house telling our business outside of this house. You know what I mean? And it was embarrassing stuff, so.
So you weren't prone to be like, I'm not gonna talk about this.
So I learned this real good stealth kind of thing. I learned how to hide things. So I'm always smiling. You know, I'm always gonna be smiling. It could be the worst day, it could be the worst time, but I'm not gonna you're not always gonna be able to tell that from me. I could have $1 million or $1 and I'm still gonna be the same way. So you wouldn't know that. Right. So that's whole part of like even. You know, I remember when I caught my first case. So my first case was 2005. Right. My first case was in 2005, and I remember the police came to question me. Well, the detectives came to question me. I was at work, and I didn't know what it was, you know, at first. But then when he asked me about the other school, I was like, okay, so yeah, this is the day. Right.
You know what I mean? Let's backtrack a little bit. Right. Now, what was going on that led to your decision to
commit a crime?
Yeah, to commit the crime.
A lot of things were going on. Right. You know, a lot of things were going on with me. And I'm not going to say that it's any particular one thing. But I'll tell you, at a time, I was in a toxic household. My household is a toxic household. At this time, I have 2 young boys. And I'm working this great job with a great title, but you know the pay isn't going along with the title, but it's nice to have. You know what I mean? And I was proud to be in that position. I took advantage of that position when I wanted to do more. So we go back to, you went to this good school and then you came to the city, but now you know what it's like to live a good life and to have good things. But now you're in this way and you don't have the knowledge of, oh, how do I get out of this to get to that? Yep. You know what I mean? I did have some knowledge of things, and I'm always trying to do the best and get to the best of things. But this time, I didn't take the best route. Right. You know, I took a route that was stupider than myself. You know what I mean? No, it happens. I totally didn't have to make that choice. So when this is cautionary tale about me, and it's not easy to talk about the worst parts of your life.
Facts.
It's not easy at all. So in my toxic household, that was my household. Right. I have my sons there. I have a partner who has an addiction, and I'm still walking this white picket fence kind of life where everything looks good in this picture. Right. But in reality, it's just not sweet. And I'm probably a little bit ahead, but just to pinpoint that part, I didn't know prior to that there was an addiction. Right, okay. And this is before we had our own place. I didn't know what was really going on. I'm thinking, well, Purple Haze is out. Right. People just look like this when they're doing Purple Haze. Right. Like, I don't smoke. So, but this is what I'm assuming. Right. You know what I mean? So I didn't look at, again, as a child, I learned to have a blind eye. So I wasn't paying attention to signs of things that are different. I love, this is my partner. It doesn't matter in my life. This is my partner. Whatever happens, we take care of each other. Absolutely. No matter what. So that's my mindset, right? But you don't know how things are going to start affecting your life. You don't know how you're going to be affected by it, or how it's going to affect another person. Then you're selfish what about these kids? Right. You have kids too. So now that puts me back. I should know better. Exactly. Because as a child, I was in a toxic situation with my family. So the crazy thing about it is, it didn't even seem familiar.
That's the thing, though. That's the weirdest part about situations like that. Right. Because again, I've dealt with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, with my parents and their issues and all of that. And it's like, and then as getting older and dealing with my own relationships, it's like, Holy shit, man.
Is it the same
Am I
thing?
doing the same shit?
Right.
What the
You know, and you realize that, and it wasn't. I didn't feel that it was the same situation because I feel like, oh, I'm me, and this is different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But
it was different, but it was the same. It was the same bomb waiting to go off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I wanted to still do better. I didn't want my kids, I wanted them to do better.
Of course.
Now I started learning about, purchasing properties and all these things, and it was just like, but how am I gonna do that with this little bit of change that,
money.
this little bit of money?
That's the thing, that's the fuel, like, under there.
Yeah, and I'm not even a money hungry person. Like, I know what I did.
Right.
But the motive and the goal wasn't the money.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's really is. It's not about the money. It's about what the money can do. It's the comfortability and the stability that the money gives you.
Right.
So I'm the type of person, I just want all the bills paid, a little extra there, and the knowledge that, the comfortability to know if I wanted to go out and do X, Y, Z, I could do it.
Yeah.
That's why everybody wants so much money. It's the freedom that money gives you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I mean, the money is nothing because some people just live off credit.
Right.
It's what the credit can do.
Absolutely. Right.
It's what the credit can do. It's not what the money can do.
Right.
But it's all about the freedom that you have with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking for the freedom of that. I was looking from freedom from this situation. I didn't know how to handle this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't talk to my mother about this. Like, look at her. She would know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She would know.
She dealt with it.
But this was not something like, because it's like, you don't know. I'm not going through that. No,
you're not going to bring that to somebody.
That's not what you're going through, right? You know what I mean? So it was weird. I felt alone in the situation because I didn't want anyone to know what was going on. But people in the streets knew more so about what was going on than I did, and that sucked. To be honest, it just sucked. But I still, I had enough strength in me to, I still have to do something. I'm not gonna. Sometimes I felt like I was a person who was an addict. Because I got depressed.
Right, because in a certain sense, it kind of seems it is an addiction.
It is.
To a certain extent. It is an addiction.
Yeah.
Because, again, talking about how much I identify with a lot of the things that you spoke about and dealt with. Mm-hmm. Like I said, once you said, okay, you did the first transaction.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's nerve-wracking, but it worked.
It sure did.
It's like, hold up, okay. Let me try this again.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And then the monster's created.
Exactly. That's exactly how it happens with basically with all these hustles out here. That's why a lot of these dudes out here can't leave the drug game alone.
Because it's easy.
Because it's so simple and it's like it comes so fast. It's just like that.
But that's the problem.
Boom.
That's the problem. The problem is this: if something were so easy, then everybody would be
doing it. But you're not thinking about that at the time. But
you're not thinking about that at the time.
Everybody would do it.
We don't do. People always choose the easy thing.
Right.
Rather than the hard thing, because you don't find hope in the hard thing because you don't see the results fast enough.
Right.
So when you choose the easy route and it comes like this, then it's like, this is it.
God, this is the
lane.
This is the way. And just like you said, I'm gonna do this real quick and put that back, and then I'm good. But it's never that. It never goes that way.
Right.
Because I've told myself that 100 times.
I even do it when I'm at the grocery store today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. Okay. Well, I only came to spend 20, but
right. But then you come leave it with a whole cart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was at a Walmart file. Walmart's file of shit. I can't go there because every time I go there, I'm about to go just get some shit for the bathroom.
And then they got the rollback.
And then it's like I'm over here hitting my wife. Like, hey, yo, do you see this sale? This sale is crazy right now. I'm about to just grab this and that, and I come home with a whole bunch of new shit.
And that's what happens.
It's like, goddamn.
And it was easy to do because you was there.
It's simple.
You was there. It said rollback. Why not?
It's like just why not do it?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing that happened to me.
Exactly the same.
Once I did, once I did one check, and I went to the bank. It seemed like a long walk, a long day.
Totally.
You go to the ATM, you looking around, scared, like you're not even thinking. I'm gonna say I wasn't even thinking of the risk.
No, you're not.
I was nervous and scared, but the thing wasn't okay. Because if it doesn't work, you're gonna be in trouble.
You're gonna be in super trouble. Like
I didn't think
that's not the thought. It's like you're nervous,
Right.
But you're nervous, like, damn, I just want this to work. I want this to work. Like, and then.
Because when you make a plan, you don't feel that plan's gonna fail, and then you make up how it could fail, but it's really not even. You know what could happen. Right. You know what could happen, right? If this doesn't work. But even in your plan 1, 2, plan A through Z, you don't put that in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why are you taking this risk to do that and not paying attention to what could happen? Which eventually did. Now I continue to do this. Like after the first time, then I was like, oh, that was a small amount. Then the next one was a little bit more. Then another one was way bit more. Right. And then I was like, oh, this is
right. It's like once you get in the comfortable seat, it's like, all right, but I got this.
Yeah.
Boom, this is foolproof.
This was foolproof.
I'm gonna just do it. Now what was the discrepancy that led to the, you know what I mean?
So what happened is this. What's so crazy is just thinking about all the different the checks that I had access to, right? And there was this one I remember, cause look at me now. Now I'm a full blown addict for this scheme I'm doing, right? So I remember saying to I think it was my sister, like, I gotta leave this job. If I don't leave this job, I just gotta leave this job. As if everything that I've done while I'm here is gonna just wash away. Right. But, and it's not like it happened. It happened over a long period of time. You know what I mean? It was a few years that happened over this period of time.
So you had this thing going for a couple of years?
About 2.
2 years, okay.
Yeah, about 2. Just short of 2. And the only reason why is because I said I can't I gotta stop this, or I won't be able to stop if I'm still here. Right. So I left that job and went to another. And I made sure that it was a place that I wouldn't have access to these, listen to me. Right. I'm crazy.
You're just trying to make it make sense to you.
I'm trying to make it make sense.
Like, you're trying to make it make sense.
Like, girl, you'll be okay as long as you don't have access to checks, or you don't do this. Okay, great, so I'll take this position. Right. Because it doesn't have anything to do with that, and now I'm safe. That's a crazy talking. That's a crazy person talking.
I can agree with you.
You know what I mean?
I can agree with you.
So, like, I remember before I left the other place that there was this one check that I did, but again, I was doing so much. Again, running circles around myself. I had my hands in everything, doing everything. I'm flying here and there, take my kids and my friends on. I'm in the music business, trying to get in there now, doing that. Yep. So I'm using that money for flights and get into all these events and do all these things. So I'm not even, whatever. It's like, okay, I think I have enough that I could leave this, go over here, and now I'm gonna be safe. Right. But there was this one check that my mind was just all over the place, busy. I couldn't think. It's not like I had a organization to what I was doing, to the madness, right? There was this one check, and it wasn't even big. It was.
That's the one that always does it.
It was literally like probably $1,000.
See what I'm saying?
And I couldn't, and I knew there was something that I didn't finish on that. Like I didn't fix it the way that I was normally, fixing things up. Right. But I couldn't remember which one it was. And it was eating me up. But it was months. You know what I mean? But it was eating me up, and I was like, I can't even remember. See how crazy that is?
No, I know.
So then I leave this place, go to another place. After I'm there for, I say, maybe 6 months, this is when the detectives come and they're asking me questions. And then I'm like, out of all this, in my head, girl, out of all this money.
That's what got you.
You had this one little, it's called being greedy. Like, I was being greedy, now you're being greedy. Like, why did you have to do that?
Yes.
Why did you're smart enough, what I should have been saying to myself is, you're so smart that you could have figured this out. Like, it's not like I had bad credit or, none of those things was my situation. I just didn't have the knowledge of it to where I believed in myself that I could do it without. Right. Again, I took the easy way when the hard way would have been taking my time, learning more about finances, and doing it that way. But, and not to say but, the pieces to that puzzle also are, I have my family situation going on, and I'm even so more using this as an escape from the drama that we were going through in there. You know, that was an escape.
No, true, indeed.
You know, just like I'm no different from anyone addicted to drugs. It was just a different.
Yes, it's just a different.
It was a different type of drug, a different vice.
That's it.
So, you know, and I couldn't stop, and I thought I could stop myself by leaving the situation, but that didn't stop it.
Right.
You know what I mean? My mind is what needed to change, not the job.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And there was no stopping my mind because now I'm trying to be successful. I was successful at doing a couple of things. I'm meeting, you know, I'm moving. I found my way in a door. You know, industry-wise, music industry-wise. I'm building myself up here. So all of this ain't gonna matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how, girl? It's a paper trail. You know what I'm saying? How did you think you were gonna get away with that? Well, I didn't think. That's the whole point.
That's the point. Yeah.
I didn't think. And the more and more I received, the more and more I was able to get, the more and more I'm far from thinking that I won't. You know? And you know, my family situation was I just wanted to escape it. You know, I wanted to escape it. And as a child, I learned how to cut off, you know, cut off what's really happening and fall into fairy tale land. You know, and that's what I did. It's a prime example of what I did. And 10 years later, I do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, I have not gotten out of that mentality.
That mindset,
you know, I tried to do it. You know, I was successful at not doing something like that for a long time. But hey, look, it did. My situation didn't change, so my mentality wasn't changed. You know what I mean? I was still in the same situation, and I still wanted better. Those two didn't change.
Right.
You know, and we were still going through, you know, being in a relationship where, you know, there's addiction there. And a lot of that, and a lot of my focus, you know, I'm not God, you know. I couldn't fix the situation. Right. You know, and that wasn't a situation that I could fix. But I always was thinking, and maybe, you know, as an older sibling, you can kind of relate to, you're the fixer of everything.
Yes.
So you think you can fix this.
You want to fix. You know what I'm saying? And you try to figure out these ways to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
you can't.
Ultimately ends up being not the right way to do it.
Absolutely.
Your intentions are good.
Your intentions are good.
There's no malice behind it.
Your intentions are good.
And honestly, that was kind of like my push, my drive, because I used to tell myself like, you're not really trying to hurt nobody.
Right.
Like you're not. There's no malice behind it. So it's like it's okay in a sense.
But you're hurting yourself.
Trying to justify it in your own mind. And then when everything hits the fan, it's like, damn.
It's psychotic. I feel like it's psychotic. I remember when they came and they you know, one of the things, I'm so crazy that when they put the cuffs on me, I'm like,
and they did it right then and there. Okay.
I'm like, so are you gonna? Now I turn into my professional self. Do we have to walk out with the with the cuffs? You know?
Like, nah, we're gonna. You can walk down.
We're gonna cover. We'll cover them up. And I was thinking, oh, thank you so much. You know, like, girl.
That's a surprise that Brockton did granted you that.
It was the detectives, and you know, and I don't have the story of any mistreatment of judgment or anything like that. I don't have that story. I really feel like there was a whole lot of leniency on me.
I've seen that. But then again, that brings me back to what I was saying to you off camera. I feel like the judge or the prosecutors, DA, they understood the why.
The why.
They looked at the why, which is something, especially in the law system, and with us, people of color, they don't. A lot of them could care less about the why.
This is true. I looked up on The Good Judge, and actually, you'll see the same judge. Have you been watching the Sean Ellis story?
Yes, I saw.
Okay, so Judge Ball is the judge I had the first time. Yeah, the judge that actually granted the new trial for him.
Okay.
So I had that same judge, and I'm telling you, the lawyer kept saying, "Well, we'll just keep extending it until we can get her," because she, the prosecutor lady, she was trying to send me upstate to frame him for 5 years. Oh God, that wouldn't have worked for me.
There it is. That's not gonna work
That
for
would
me.
not have
guys,
worked for
right?
me. It would not have worked for me, and I. So that's when you turn into my professional job title. Excuse me, that is not gonna work for me. So I was like, I don't care how long you extend it. If Judge Ball's the person that we gotta see, then that's the person that I would like to wait to see. But the prosecutor lady was trying to she actually said to me that day. She said, you know what? You had it good and you just ruined all of that. And I'm thinking, wow, how do you don't even know me.
Right.
How do you know I had a good I had a good job title.
Right, but that doesn't mean I had it good.
That job, like I worked my way, I've had a lot of good jobs and I worked my way up, obviously because I was smart enough to do so, which is what I could have used those skills to my personal life.
Right.
And I didn't. But that's what she said to me, and I was thinking, lady, you don't know me.
Exactly.
You don't know. You think that that's all that there is for me.
Right.
That's not all that there is for me. You know what I mean? There's higher things, and people always want to put you in a box. And I'm always the person, like, you can't really tell me no. You could tell me no, but I know that there's a yes somewhere.
Absolutely.
So that's the type of person I am. But when people try to put you in a box, like I say for that prosecutor, why would you think that that was the best thing that could have happened to me? Being just there and continue to work myself up. Like, that's your mentality. Maybe that worked for you.
Right.
But I feel for me that there's something more.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she was upset that I just, look, I'm not doing no trials here. Look, I did what I did, obviously. I don't want to fight about it. I just want to accept, responsibility for what I did, and I'd like this to be over with as soon as possible. And that's really what I wanted to do. It was hard because, I had two small children at the time. I think they were in middle school at the time. Sixth grade and going to 8th grade at the time. So I told my kids this big old lie that I was going to a women's conference.
I said, no, boy, listen, you're not far-fetched. That's what a lot of people do.
Or dad's at basketball.
He's at camp, or he's somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when I got into my situation, it was like I did not want my daughter to know anything remotely about that at all. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, no.
Yeah, and they weren't going to be absolutely not want any business.
No, I did not want her to come up there at all. I do not want you to see me in this place. I don't want that image in your brain,
head, right?
At all. Like,
right. So you understand? Like, I didn't tell them that until years later.
Now, how did they react towards that? Did they look at you like, I'm sure they looked at you like, oh, my mom's just a regular, regular, whatever. But then they heard when they got the details and heard the story.
I don't know. My kids are funny.
Like, how did they react? Like you? You know what I'm saying?
I think so. Like, what are you talking about? They're probably just like, this lady is, I don't even know this lady. I'm the mother who, we're at Pop Warner football. Right. I'm there. So right. You know what I mean?
Moms to get busy, right?
That's the mom. I'm sure that when they were smaller, well, probably when they got older, they probably wondered, like, why do I get every Jordans that come out? I mean, my son was wearing Pradas. I had not even had a designer shoe. You know what I'm saying? They didn't miss out on much, and that was the goal, to make sure that they did. I mean, even when I wasn't doing that, I still did the best for them. So it just added more to that. In 2005, I bought a house. I moved out this way. Yeah, because I was like, I can't have them go to school in Boston. Right. I don't want them to go on Metco. I'll just move to an area that has a good school system. You know what I'm saying? So again, you're smart enough to do certain things. Right. So why didn't you just be smart enough to do? You know what I mean? But yeah, they thought that was crazy. Probably they don't know who this lady is. You went to where? You was in jail.
You was in jail.
You did what?
I missed that.
Yeah, but they told me that they remember. They remember when I wasn't around. Like, I would speak to them on the phone. And then my son, he's like, when are you coming home? He's like, oh, I'll be home in another month. Because when I even though my case was a state case, they sentenced me not to frame him. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I didn't go frame him.
That's when you ended up in South Bay. Okay.
Yeah, but it was a state case. Yeah. So I was at South Bay for about 3.5 months. 3.5 months, and then I went home. So I was home like around before Easter. When I was sentenced, it was in about October. They allowed me to handle my business ends and then turn myself in January.
Okay.
So, I don't have any stories about how I was wrongly done with the court systems or whatever. I was really given a lot of help, support.
Right.
It could have been bad.
Right.
Before that case, I had never been arrested before or anything. But again,
I mean, granted, that probably played a role in that too, but that doesn't really matter sometimes.
Right. It was, you little black girl robbed this school. And that's exactly what the prosecutor was basically looking at.
I'm sure, because
she was like, no, you did not have to do that. You just messed it up for everybody. I'm thinking, so you think because of what I did that another black girl that comes in this position that y'all won't hire because of me? That's stupid.
Right, that's what
because your positions always are full of y'all, and there's plenty of you
That's true.
who've done the wrong thing.
That's true, and they're still doing it.
And they still do the wrong thing, right?
But it's like I remember that guy that former district attorney that was speaking.
Oh goodness, that was on my federal case.
Him, he I was like, yo, he's the typical.
He was trying to put me under.
I'm like, you hear this guy? Like,
I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he was just
like, all she got was 6 months. All she did was 3. I'm like, how you feel?
What did you want me to do?
Like, what? You want to throw her under the jail? Like, what did you want? Life sentence? Like, what do you want?
They did, and I don't even know where that even correlates. But I mean, I'm guilty. Now you want to put the nails in the coffin. Bottom line is that the crime has to go with the guidelines of sentencing.
Right.
And this is actually within the guidelines. When I had my federal case, my guidelines, were increased because of my previous case. Okay, so why do they tell you to move on with life and get over your past? And then they throw this on you. Now this is added to my points. So now this puts me past probation time. So I'm really got to go to jail. You know what I mean? I really got to go to the feds. So and that was 10 years later.
That sentence was the year and a day.
That was the sentence again.
It's fed time. You got to do it for.
Yeah. Well, I did inside 10 months.
Okay.
And then I came home on halfway house.
Okay.
And then by it was like so I came home like October the 16th or something, and then like the week of Thanksgiving, then I was out of the halfway house. Yeah. And that sucked also.
I know it did.
That sucked also. And I mean, it's not like I'm a perfect person. Even when I was on federal, and I know where I'm jumping all over, but on federal probation, I violated, and then I had a bracelet on. Actually, they sent me to Wyatt.
Really?
Yeah, they sent me, and even that wasn't even harsh on me. They had me go to Wyatt for the weekend. It was like, they had me go for the weekend.
I just think it's so dope because it's like you don't hear that. You know what I'm saying? You normally don't hear that.
I violated my federal probation. Because I was traveling back and forth. Traveling is my escape, so I feel like you can't do this to me.
Right. I think it's so dope because that's literally like you're like you really mean that shit. You mean it.
I do.
And it's like some weird way. It's like they heat to that. It's like no, I can't do that.
I'm like sir, I can't. I'm gonna tell you one crazy thing was when I was on probation because I did this. My sentence was 6 months, but 3 years probation time for the first case. So when I came, and it's really, like I say, everything is about judgment. When someone looks at you, how you dress, how you carry yourself, this is basically determines what's going to happen to you.
You're right.
It really is. So when I had to do my probation out here, so when I went down to the Superior Court and I go in to see the probation officer, he's like, who's your client? And I said, I don't have a client. He was like, well, who are you? He thought I was someone's
right, he thought you was somebody's attorney.
He thought I was someone's attorney. And I'm like, I'm the probationer. And he said, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, what are we supposed to do with this?
Right.
That's what he said to me. I was thinking, yes. So he told me I had to go do community service to go the trial court. And I said to him, I said to him, I can't do that. He's like, you're required to do this. And I said, I cannot do that. I said, listen, I have 2 children. They are on basketball teams, they're on football teams out here. I cannot humiliate them by having their friends or their friends' parents seeing me picking up trash. I was like, listen to my crazy self. Girl, you are on probation.
It's like, that's the dope part about it, because it's you mean it.
I'm serious. I was
like
dead serious.
You're dead serious, but it's like,
I didn't do it.
And that conveys to people, like, it's almost like you almost, I can't even, is it like, it's almost like hypnotism in a sense. It's like you got, like they can't, like, what do you say to that? If somebody, I'm thinking I'm putting myself in the shoes of a probation officer.
Right.
And then my client actually saying that to me. So it's like, how do you even respond to that? It's like,
you looked at me like,
okay.
You're going.
Like,
I said, I can't.
And somebody telling me, no, I can't. Like, I can't do that. And they give me legit reasons too. It's like, and she means that. So it's like, damn,
I asked him.
Kind of go back in your brain, like, well, maybe I need to reevaluate this. Like,
you can't treat everyone. What I think is, you can't treat everyone in the same sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
Like, if I was a black guy, I wouldn't dare come out of my mouth and say, I can't do it, because you don't feel that you can say that.
No, exactly. I know.
You don't feel you can say that to your probation officer, right?
It won't work.
Like, I told them that it's something that I really couldn't do. I have already humiliated my family enough.
Right.
Now what you want is my kids to go to school, get teased at school, then now I'm going to be, then that's another situation. Like, just don't let it wasn't about me. It was about, don't let my kids go through that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I remember him saying to me, Miss Bean, you're gonna go. He's like, you're gonna go, and you're gonna get on that van on Saturday morning, and you're going to be on the side of that highway. And I said, I certainly am not. I'm like, there has to be another alternative. I'll do something else. How about something else?
Right.
He's like, you're gonna do it. And I was like, I can't. I refused to do it. And I remember that Saturday came, and it was just like another day. I was making breakfast for my kids. I'm not doing that. There's something that you could do something else.
You're right though, because they definitely can do. They can do that.
Yeah. And
it's the fact that again being like a black man. So it's like we wouldn't think of saying something like that. But it's like because of that, just because of that thought and that either that or that fear, like they might even try to do something worse to me if I say this. But you do have options.
But you do.
You just have to speak up. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I felt more in fear, and it's not that I wasn't scared to say that, but I was more in fear of what would happen in the long term for my kids.
Right.
And it wasn't that my kids was excused. I was dead serious about that. Like, you're not gonna have my kids get into. They're boys. You're not gonna have that. They're already going through enough.
Right.
They have to have something that is regular.
Right.
Because stuff's not regular for us.
Right.
When I came home that first time, and then I just got home, and it was depressing. I was depressed. I had gotten another job, and I was working. Thank you. I don't even think we're filming it on this one.
On that one?
I don't think so.
I don't know what this thing's doing.
I don't even know. I don't even think it's on. But I don't want to mess up your thing. I'm sorry.
No, we're good. This is natural. This is natural. We good.
So when that happened, my first case. So it's when I came home from South Bay. Now my probation starts, and that was one of the things. Go, and this is what it is. Okay. So how about now? I'm broke. Because what happens? Your bank accounts get frozen. Everything's frozen up. So all that money that was there is gone. And now you don't have, it's working. I think before I went and I had a job, so I had put money aside for the mortgage to be paid. So now I come home to nothing, right? And now I'm a convicted felon.
Right.
What job can I actually have to even maintain this house, take care of everything? It's not like we were living a lavish lifestyle. You know what I mean? We were not. It's not like I went out and bought this big, gigantic house and, all these things. But, live clean, live clean. And it was just a struggle. It was a struggle for a couple of months. But then tax time was coming, so I was able to file my taxes. So that, gave us a little ground. Yeah, a little ground. But it was a struggle until we could just leave it. It was hard. Yeah, that one's not working. It was a hard time. you know, we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything, and we had this house. And now, when that starts to fall apart, now here comes another stress of a mortgage now, you know, face foreclosure, face losing your home and going through all of this.
It is a domino effect.
It's a domino effect. So what I did caused a very big domino effect that added on to the stress of everything. And it wasn't good, you know. For, you know, from some periods of time, you know, there was some sobriety in there, you know, for my partner and I, you know, so, you know, different times.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah, there was bits and pieces of times, but for the most part, now I'm just trained waiting for it to happen.
Right.
So now waiting for...
You know what it is now, so it's like...
Right, looking for this, trying to be more alert, looking for the signs and all these things, and it you know, it just wasn't good. You know, then for myself, trying to figure out, you know, which direction to go, now what to do, it was hard. You know, when you come home and now you're a convicted felon, you can only, just imagine if I didn't have a house.
Right.
Apartments aren't gonna, you know, nice places, you can't live in there.
Maybe.
Even if you're lived in a project or something, they kick you out once you get. What am I supposed to do now? You know, so it determines how you even can live.
It does.
You know, you can determine how you live. You can't even live in the projects.
Right. It's like once that F is on your record,
it's there.
It's just, oh my God. I dealt with it.
You got it.
And it's like no one wants to be affiliated with you. It's just once they see the word, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We sorry, we can't.
We can't do it.
You know what I mean? I remember when because I was convicted. I was a convicted felon, but I mean I think that the statute of limitations
is over, like 7.
Yeah, I've just been like 10 plus now, so it's like, all right, I'm trying to find work, and it was just hell, like getting no's left and right. I actually got hired somewhere. Oh gosh. And then I'm there for like a month.
And then fired.
And then I get called to human resources because I guess for whatever reason they couldn't. The Corey didn't go through quick enough or whatever. I don't know what's going on.
Right, so you was there.
And that was when that I guess that law out here that you they can't hold it against you. Like they can't like deny you.
You don't have to sign. Right. You don't have to say yes or no.
Yeah. So but then once it came in, I get called to human resources. White lady, black lady, and then the white lady, of course, she's speaking to me. She's saying, so the Corey came back, and because of that, I'm sorry. You can no longer continue to work for us. And yo, I'm no bullshit. Like, I'm used to hearing no, so it's like I'm used to getting shut down. And so it was just like you can see my face already change. I guess the black lady, she saw it, and then she looked so upset, like she wanted to cry. I swear to God. And she was like, oh my God. Like after the fact, she pulled me to the side. She was like, here's my card. Like, please, if I can do anything to help you.
Keep me in the job.
You know, I'm like, yo, I just need a fucking job. Like, I need to work. But right now, I don't know what I'm about to do. And I'm trying to stray away from going back to old habits. But it's like, it's just hard.
How can you?
It's hard.
When you, I'm there with you. You get I even have gotten so many jobs. Offer letter, salary, everything. Yeah. And then, no. So it's like, okay, as a black man, how many rejections do you get before you do the easy thing? But at this point, trying to get a job should be easy, right? But now it's turned into the most difficult thing, and then the rejection of that. Yep. Like how long can you
go through that? Like how many times can you take no?
Right, and now you gotta create your own job.
Exactly. Now
but do you have the funds to do so?
Right.
Do you have the credit to do so?
Right.
Do you have the knowledge to do so? Is this even gonna work? How long is it gonna take for you to get up and running? Those things are not the easiest things to do.
Absolutely.
And there's not a support system within the court system. And I like to say probably, I think now, I have knowledge that there's more, and I think that we have more like representatives that are from our communities now than were before.
True.
And that there's more programs and more things, and people are, more organizations are fighting for just, for better laws and better rights for convicted felons. And then you have employees that have received certain benefits if they do hire you. And it's not necessarily that those are the jobs you even want to go work to. And,
You're right.
And those are the things, like, oh, you're getting a benefit from having me work for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there really isn't no benefit for me for working here.
Right.
You know? But you have to do something.
Exactly. It's like you
have to do
can't stay stagnant, so it's like...
And it's very hypocritical for someone to tell you, oh, well, you know, you're a convicted felon now, move on with your life, put this past behind you. Well, I can kind of do that if I wasn't reminded of it every time I'm trying to do something positive.
Right.
So now if you continue to push me back and back and back, then obviously I can't get over this. Mm-hmm. You know, and I have the big F. Now you want to do quarries.
Right.
I mean, now let's talk about quarries. Does my crime have anything to do with this job?
With this job? Like, does it come into play at all? Like,
Instacart even denied me a job. Instacart, I use my own car to pick up groceries.
That's crazy.
What does that have to do with, you know,
it's the way the system is set up.
It
doesn't add up. It doesn't match. It makes no sense.
It doesn't even match. It's just if you have this, then you can't do anything else. You don't.
Makes no sense.
I was in the feds with a lady who was only doing 30 days there. She was like a dental assistant or something.
Oh, wow.
Like, she's now a convicted felon doing 30 days in federal prison, and this will mess up everything she has.
That's crazy.
It's actually a waste of money to have someone do 30 days.
It's absolutely hard in the...
Like, why didn't you just have probation?
Yeah, just
What's
give
30
her
days?
probation. See, that's the thing with the system. It's so stupid.
That's the dumbest thing I ever.
It's 30 days.
I think she actually got 28 days.
Dumb.
So what was the point of that?
Just
because
dumb.
they make money off of bodies. So
right.
You know, you do 28 days like that. You're just now kind of figuring out the lay of the land within that time.
Right.
You know, so it's just crazy. The way that you see, but there's like many women were in there for 30 days, 28 days,
that's wild.
2 weeks.
Really?
It's stupid. That's what federal prison. Like, why would you even bother sending someone to jail for that? Right.
Such a waste.
And especially if they have to travel, you know, like myself, I was in Kentucky.
See? Like, I'm going to go to Kentucky for 2 weeks? Like, that's
4 months. That's
the
silly.
dumbest shit ever.
It is, but that's the system. They send you where it's open.
That is crazy.
When they told me I was going to Lexington, I was like, oh, Lexington, Mass is right near where I went to school in Sudbury. And they're like, no, Lexington, Kentucky. And I was thinking,
wait,
Kentucky? How am I going to go to Kentucky?
Like, what?
Like, Kentucky, I'm sure that, like, at the time, Danbury was closing for women, and they were moving the women out of there and putting all men there now. So I wasn't able to go to Connecticut, obviously, which would have been the closest place for women.
Okay.
So, like, they could have found somewhere closer, but Kentucky, Kentucky was where I was. I was sentenced to federal prison camp. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in Kentucky.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that's been in the feds.
You can go anywhere.
Get sent off any type of crazy place.
You can get sent anywhere. You really can.
That's just nuts.
You know, but that was, you know, my experience. You know, I wanted to hope that, you know, that I was able to have made better decisions looking back on it. You know, but again, I'm just who I am.
Right, you're human.
I'm just human, and
you are a human being.
I'm better at telling you what to do than I am.
I swear to God, I'll tell somebody else, like, listen, you gotta do it like this. Yeah,
yes,
like,
I am so good at that, but I don't
go in the mirror and talk to me about that. It's not gonna work.
I don't take my own advice very well.
That's just crazy.
But I can give good.
Absolutely, I'm nice at that.
I can give good advice.
So let's. I know you know what I'm saying. Like, I like the. I love we touching everything.
And I'm sorry if I'm jumping around.
No, that's fine because I want it all out, and I love it.
All right,
you know what I'm saying?
Good.
So now I wanna talk about when you jumped into the music scene.
Okay.
And like basically, where'd you start off and the things that you've done?
Well, in the music scene, what I started to do is I was learning the business. Now, I was at Emerson College. That's where I was working at a time. And so there's the radio station was there. And, you know, it's a school of the arts, so you meet a lot of different people. And I started taking classes to do, like, magazine publishing. So I was learning and meeting a lot of different people within there.
Right.
I had some friends that started an independent record label. I happened to be, you know, at this school. And I was learning this, and so I was able to, like, you know, help them with some information on things that they could do. And in my learning, I started to find different, like, events. Like, I wanted to, like, I'm a hands-on person, so,
Likewise.
You can tell me what a record pool is, but I really don't know what a record pool is. I want to see it. I want to see how it operates. Yeah. So I would look up all this different type of information. I would come across events to go to. So I would, again, fly out to wherever. I would fly out wherever to learn this process, because more so down south they were doing all these, big ticket events. I went to a couple Billboard Awards shows, and like they'll do like a touring and booking conference, like different conferences. Your Performance Rights Association, so your ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. I would, just throw myself into learning about this business.
Yeah.
And in doing that along the way, I met people, and I met connections and contacts, and I just started to build on those. And then now this person is telling me about some industry inside things, and now they invited me in, and then it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I just started to network outside of the city, because we didn't have, Boston had like it's a small music scene, and people are, how it is.
I know. We got our reputation.
Yeah, you know how it is. So I mean, and at the time we got the Source magazine. It's the biggest, where Boston is always connected.
Yeah.
But it just seems like with music
we just don't go.
We don't go. You have to leave from here.
Yeah, you have to
go
outside to go.
But honestly, that's in every market. They say the same thing.
That's true.
In every market. So I mean, it's always, that's just how life is.
Yeah.
I know you, so you're not. I know who that is. But if you're coming from out of town, you could be a nobody over there. But when you come here, it's like, oh yeah,
true.
That's how it is.
True.
That's how it is. So I just started to learn the business, and I met some good people along the way. I met some good connections along the way, and some good networking along the way, and I continue to build on those. And then I was thinking, wow, what if I could do something like that here where I live? Yeah. And then I started to plan that. I remember calling someone who had done, it was the Vibe, it was a Vibe music conference.
Okay.
And I remember calling the girl, because actually she was from Boston, but it's just, I was calling numbers, just calling people. Just pick up the phone, look up the information, and call them. If they said they're the coordinator or whatever they are, I tried to make relationships with everyone in the office. And that's what I did. And she was actually from Boston, and she told me, yeah, we can put something together. It'll be $1,500 a month. And I was thinking, to what? No, I can do that myself. I can do it myself. You know what I mean? Pay $1,500 a month to do what?
Right.
Doing the same thing I'm doing, calling people, confirming, going finding a venue, and just doing what I was doing. So I started to build on that, and I did my first music conference here in Boston, and I had pretty much all the labels supporting me. I had different people come out, speak, and I felt like it was a successful thing for me. Because for me, I'm a procrastinator. I'm a person who will start something like full-fledged and then maybe not finish it in the way that I want to. Yeah. So for me, doing something like that and finishing it was a big deal for me.
It is.
So I was excited about that. And, I had, different labels contact me when they're going to bring, an artist through, and if I could set something up for them. And then I was like, wow, now I'm really, really doing stuff.
Right. You're in the mix.
Yeah, I'm in the mix. So, for me to be here and being able to do that, it was a big deal for me. And I felt like it could be even bigger if I had left here. But I didn't. But I couldn't leave here, because even though I'm doing these things, my life has not changed.
See,
it
is.
My life has not changed. And so even in doing so, like I was embarrassed sometimes to even show my face or speak to people at certain times. You know what I mean? Like when things got really low for me, I was just like, I don't want to.
Yeah,
I had to hide.
Yeah, you don't want to deal.
I had to hide, and that's what I started to do. And I mean, that's what it was. And then when I went to jail, like nobody even knew I went to jail.
See, exactly.
It had to be a secret.
Everything's stealth, like you said. It all comes from when you learned how to do that.
I learned how to do that as a young age.
How to do it like no one knows unless you tell them.
Absolutely.
And I'm all about that. Like I am that person. Like you won't know shit unless you know me. Like you're there, or I explain to you. Like so many people didn't know I was in my situation. So I was like. I know you. I didn't see you. I'm like, you didn't see me because of this. What?
Like, where were you? What did you do?
Like, it's crazy. What? Because I've always been the person. again, I'm very like the laid back dude, like, you know what I'm saying, like, so it's like I don't talk much half the time anyway. I'm always observing.
Right.
So it's like when cats don't see me around, it's like, wait a minute, hold on.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Wait a minute, where you been? Oh well, and then they hear the story and they're like, what?
Doesn't even belong to you. Doesn't even fit your description.
What's going on? Like you did that? Like listen, even my first day when you know what I'm saying, I was in I went to Nash first, you know what I'm saying, and it's like I get in there or whatever, I'm seeing the lay of the land and all that shit. And you know what upset me more about it? Because prior to that, because I was a dude, again, I did my dirt. I just, I was always caught up on the shit. Never get caught. I don't get caught. I don't do that. Everybody knows that. Nigga, I don't do jail, bro. Like, not because I'm scared. It's not a nice place. I just don't do that. It's not for me. I'm not trying to lose my freedom. But when I finally ended up inside, it was like, now I'm running into individuals that I know. First thing, yo, bro,
what are you doing here?
What you doing here? Like, and the crazy part, I saw my cousin, and then my little cousin.
Did you know that he was there?
I had no idea. Ran into him. I guess he just got moved to the unit, and then we're coming out, I guess, to eat for rec or whatever, and then he sees me. I see him. I'm like, I already know he's a career criminal, but it's like, so it's like, dude, but he sees me, he's just in awe, like. Bro, like what are you doing here? First thing he said, he was like, bro, you're too smooth to be in here. What happened? I'm like, you said it. I was doing too much.
Doing too much.
I was doing too much.
Doing too much, and then God comes and picks you up by the collar and sits you down.
Yeah, it says, yo, boom.
Sit your ass down.
That day it was ridiculous because you're thinking to yourself like, damn, this is what did it. And you're thinking, like you said, you're thinking back to the things that. All the other things that could have really put you under the fire, and it's like this did it.
Yeah.
Like I guess I
and
really.
You feel like I really lost. I really was doing too much.
Yeah, I was doing it.
I never made it upstairs to Nash. I mean, I've been there to visit. But when my first case, when they brought me to Nashua Street, because when we were in the courtroom, and when they said my bail was $12,000, like. My whole family was like in there, and then you could like when they're running my case, and I'm just like my sister, I'm going like this, because there's all of these people, and at least 12 people have $1,000. Like I know I'm going home, right? But then my sister was like, I said, oh,
I'm not going down.
Oh my goodness, oh this isn't good, you know. So they gave me this bail, and then took me off to Nashua Street, and again when we got to Nashua Street, I told talking about putting on some uniform. No, right. I said, I know my family's coming to get me, so there's no need for me. There's no need for me to go upstairs. And the lady was laughing at me. She's like, "Don't you know everybody says the same thing?" And I'm thinking, I said, "No, I can't go up there. You know, I can't go upstairs. You know, I can't do it." She's like, "I'm gonna let you get this last phone call before you go up." And I called my cousin. It was my last shot. I just called him, like, him and his wife was my only persons that I could think of that would be able to do it for me, right, if they would do it. And he said he had to ask his wife, and I was thinking, this never, you know. But his wife actually took the phone from him. She's like, "You're still there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, nobody. No, I wasn't talking this calmly. I was bawling." Yeah. I was like, "No." You know, she came and got me. And I can't thank her enough even to this day, because again, I don't know what it's like to be upstairs in Nashua Street.
That's real. That's real.
But she came through for me. You know?
That is real.
The people that you don't think.
That you don't think. Because I didn't think that, you know. I mean, come on, I probably wouldn't. If this is all that I had, I don't know if I would do it. You know what I mean? No, that's real.
But, you know, I'm so grateful that I did have people there to support that for me. So.
That's real, because a lot of people don't.
Some people are in there for way less. You
Absolutely.
Know, that nobody will come $100, $200.
And they have no one to look to.
Yeah. So I feel very I feel grateful that I was able to. My federal case, I wasn't required a bail. Like they just sent me on a personal thing, whatever, because they didn't froze my bank accounts at this time. Right. So I wasn't. So I mean, hey, I couldn't bail myself out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, but that's what we face. You know, crime and time. That's what we face.
That's how it goes.
You know, that's exactly how it goes. You're there. You're there. Once you're locked in, you're locked in.
You're locked in.
You're locked in.
it is a whole another world when you're in there. 'Cause it's like, I'm here. That's what I was going through. I'm like, I'm really in here.
Yeah.
And I was so mad. Back to what I didn't make it to say what I was gonna say. No, it's fine. But I was gonna say that what pissed me off the most about when I was in there was that I was oddly comfortable.
Were you?
Like, it was not comfortable in a sense, but it was like
you weren't panicked.
Yeah, like it's like I'm not pressed, but I'm more angry at like the fact that what my family is thinking right now. I don't even care that I'm here. It's like I'm good. Like I'm not like you all y'all. It's nothing. Like, and I think that transcended to the rest to the unit as well. Like they saw that. Like wasn't nobody even trying nothing weird. Like it was just everybody saw that, even though they knew like yo that's his first time. But it's like.
But did you have a sense of like when you knew you were going?
Right.
Were you scared? Like did the stories that you've heard about it influence the way that you carried yourself there?
To a certain extent. To a certain extent, but I was so consumed with the thought, oh shit, my daughter. Damn, my mother, I let her down. My brothers, my sisters, they probably like just. Cause I'm like I was like that dude to them, you know what I'm saying?
The first day, and you reflecting.
Yeah, it was like super reflection. Like, damn, I'm that dude to them, and it's like, damn, like I really let everybody down. And what really hurt most, cause hearing the reactions, it was like, oh shit, I did.
You did.
I did. So I was like on some old. My energy was just horrible when I was in there. I think everybody could see it on my face.
Yeah.
So it was I kept to myself. I mean, my cellie at the time was a white dude. He was there for DUIs, and he wouldn't shut up. He just kept talking, but it was whatever. But it was just like when I came in, I didn't speak to a soul. I didn't say shit to anybody. I just sat there. When it was time to watch my TV, went back, ate, sat down, went back, like routine. It was just like, yo, like this. I'm so pissed off. Like how the fuck did I end up here? Because I was so prided on. I'm the one out of all my dudes. Like I don't do jail. Like everybody knows me. I'm the dude that doesn't do it.
You gonna do jail if you doing that.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you like the addiction. It's like you keep doing shit. You don't get caught. You don't get caught up. So you do like major shit, and it's like you don't go down for it.
You
so
felt
it's like
invincible?
In a sense, I kind of did a little bit. I kind of did. Like I could move.
Yeah.
I'm good. It's like I know him. Everybody was reckless in my eyes to me, and I'm like the solid dude. So it was like when it finally happened, it was like, yo, what the hell?
Did that change the way you did things after?
Absolutely did.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So only took that one time.
That's it. After that, I was like, yo, and I couldn't. When I finally made because I got to make bail because I did the bail reduction and then they reduced it because my shit was $25,000. So it was like once they said $25,000 because it came to when I was locked up in the local precinct, it came the bail the came. It was like I don't even know what time it was or nothing. I don't know. I was there for a long time. I was asleep. He came through. He was like, hey, Joseph. We got your bail, $25,000. Walked away. I sat up. I said, back down. Like, all right, I'm not going anywhere.
$2,500 would have sounded good.
I said, I'm not going anywhere. $25,000. I'm not even expecting anybody to come up with that. I'm not asking anybody to come up with that. I'm not asking anybody to put up. No, I'm not. Yeah. Fuck it. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna deal with this situation. That's all that was in my mind.
Just get it over with.
That was it.
I recently I follow the Reform. If you follow Reform, that organization,
Okay.
So they had it was an interesting discussion about different convicted felons saying that they wish that if they had a choice between prison and probation, they would have just stayed and maxed out instead of going on probation.
Yeah, I had a lot of people say that.
And I was thinking, one of the things that I'm so serious about, and I think that kids need to hear, is you can have a low sentence all you want. Okay, they give you 6 months. You feel like that's not a big deal. You could walk into prison and not last 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Fact.
You could be dead then. Or you'll be in a situation where you have to defend yourself, and now you've caught another case. So you're going to be there anyway.
Now you got more.
If you can't, my whole thing is if you can't do jail, you can't do probation.
You're right.
If you can't do probation, you can't do jail.
You're right.
Because in jail, you're their property. So you're telling me you'd rather be someone's property of the state or the government than to follow a couple guidelines being on the street?
Right.
And like I said,
To each their own.
I violated my probation. You know what I mean? You know what could happen,
right.
But at the same time, it's like that wouldn't be an option to me. And I was surprised that a lot of people feel as though they'd rather just max out their time rather than be on probation.
Yeah, like I don't understand that, but
yeah, it was a lot. I was just shocked by that, so it was interesting. I haven't had that conversation with someone, so I was interested to ask you that.
Right, yeah, like I wasn't for that. Like,
yeah.
Cause even when I was dealing with my case, it was like I had my closest individuals, especially these are repeat offenders,
right,
that been in and out my entire time of knowing them. Bro, no, don't even, bro, just take the plea with it. I'm like, yo, bro, no.
Right.
I'm gonna fight this. I'm not staying here. Is what you need to understand. Like I'm not doing this.
Right.
Then I made the bill, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna fight this from the outside. Like, and I fought it for 2 years, and then go figure. Charges were dismissed. You know what I'm saying? Charges were dismissed because they weren't on point.
Right.
With what they had. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it just showed the funny side of the law. You know, the law. You know,
and basically what the law is that they have to find you guilty.
They have to.
You know, like if you know that there's some loopholes, then maybe it's worth fighting.
Right.
No loopholes with me. Everything's
paper
trail. So it was like, I'm ready to get this over with.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I think it was the best thing for me to do for me and, you know, my family. It was already in the newspaper. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I'm not to say this was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for my kids to see that.
Exactly. You see, and then there you go. It's like it's not even about you. It's about you're thinking about others.
It wasn't about me really,
you know
because I already did what I did.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I expect all that's going to come from that to come from it. But I didn't want the backlash to, you know, to be on them.
Right. And that's another thing I thought that was dope because, again, even with what you did, is like you still weren't even thinking of self. Like you was thinking about your family. You were thinking about your kids. You were thinking like it wasn't just you. You know what I'm saying? There's so many selfish there was some selfishness in there.
There was selfishness.
There was selfishness, but it's like ultimately it's like I want everybody I love to be good.
To be better. Yeah, I want that. That's the ultimate. You know, but you know, obviously I did selfish things. You know, me doing it in a whole was.
And it was selfish. It was
selfish too because not only I'm gonna go to jail, but everyone's gonna be affected. Everyone's gonna be affected by that. My last case, my son was in his first year of college. Like I had to, you know, while I'm going through the case, like he only was able to do 1 semester living on campus. And the second, you know, it was just all messed up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I done messed up his mentality, where he, you know, what he was trying to do with his, you know, I messed it up.
Right.
I fumbled the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? I did. And it was, and that's what I take away from it. And those are the people that I apologize to. You know, I apologize. I'm not perfect. If I try to treat everyone with, you know, respect, like I want to be treated, but I know that there have been times where I haven't done that.
Right.
You know, and I apologize for anyone ever feeling that I didn't. I'm okay with somebody letting me know when I'm not. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just not right. I'm all good with that. I really don't. Like with this, one of the things was that I didn't think of were comments on social medias and things like that. I'm not a person who really cares what other people think.
Yeah.
And I have a thick skin to that. It might linger. It depends. Like if it's my family, friend, you know, people close to me, I'll take into consideration. But I really, for the most part, not really care about things like that.
Yeah.
And I think I read comments a couple of times. I was like, oh, that's too much for my that's too much for my heart. I can't, you know, I can't take that. But you know, again, this is what you open yourself up to. This is what I've opened myself up to when I went on the show. You know, but I didn't think of that. You know, I really didn't think too much about it. It was an opportunity that came, and I'm not a person who wanted to put that out there.
Sure.
That's not what I was working on in life, to be known as a thief. Right. You know, I was trying to be a big mogul or something like that. But, you know, unfortunately, this is how God decided to use me. You know what I'm saying? And I do hope that with the episode, and I do hope that with the book, that if anyone is, you know, that it reaches somebody, that may be in the same, that is similar to situations that I've been through, and to know that, you know, in any time of darkness, I was in a time of darkness, that any time of darkness, that you can see that there's still some light will come. Right. You just have to walk towards it. You got to work on getting to it. We spend a lot of time working on, you know, the easy things, but the easy and the hard, you got to go to the one that's gonna last the longest. You know what I mean? And right. and that's always the harder thing. You got to be patient and take your time to walk that path. Right. Because nothing actually is easy, and life is fair in the sense that everybody goes through something. Right. You know, it's not nobody gets a pass in life. Nobody has a full clean. Everything was good my whole entire life. Right. No, you got heartbroken, you got depressed, you got let down, you got told no, you got rejected. You know, something happens to all of us, and and life is very fair in that aspect. Right, so we should all be more understanding to each others. But sometimes people forget that they've been through things, or they feel like that well, that's not me. You know what I mean? It's all of us. Yeah. Especially right now, the time that we're in, it's all of us. No matter what color you are, where you live, what kind of money you got, we're all in the same space right now. Right.
You know? That's the big thing about the climate we're in right now. You know what I mean? And to touch back about what you were saying, like the quote that always comes in my head from Reverend. In life, when you take shortcuts, you get cut short.
Oh yeah, you know that's a good one, because that's true.
Now when you heard that, I was like, "Ooh, you talking to me directly?" Like,
absolutely. But, that's it right there.
But that is a super fact. So now what things do you have going on right now? Like, what are you working on?
So right now, I'm working on the book. The book is pretty much done. So that's why you'll see marketing materials on it. We'll be going out, and then I'll start doing some. Well, again, we have I'm sure we're going to be going in lockdown pretty soon, but I'm going to have a couple of things set up for out of town, and I'm just not sure. You know, I have to wait and see, just like everyone else. Yeah. But if I'm unable to do that, then I'll do it in another way. You know, like everything is a Zoom or something. We'll figure it out. Yeah. But I just want to see where we're going to get to. Working with formerly incarcerated women and children. I created a nonprofit organization, my family and I, and still working on building that up to do the services that we want to do. But what it's meant to do is to be a support and to be services for those convicted felons re-entering into the system, and also for the children of felons that are in the system. So hopefully I'll be going to speak at different DYSs, women's homeless shelters, places like that, to see what the need is and figure it out, and to help, you know. And that's my way of giving back. I was in all those situations. I've been in a shelter before, trying to get a Section 8 because that was what everybody said you do. Right. But at the end of the day, but I work at a job that makes triple the amount of this rent. So why wasn't I doing that? And it wasn't easy to go into no shelter.
Nah, I'm sure.
Who wants to be in a shelter? Like, why do that? Why was that the mentality? You know what I mean? It should have been, if you work get this kind of money, then this is what you should be looking for. You know what I mean? But that's not what, at the time that I was growing up and in my environment, that's not what it was. So I think, especially right now, where we're in these times, there's a lot of financial literacy that needs to be done. Yes. And the way that the school system is set up. Look at what's happening to the kids right now. And I don't want to say that they're going to be the most lost kids next year. I agree. They're going to be the most lost. And so, since the world is changing, the curriculums need to be changing. Right. We need to be teaching more about financial literacy. We need to be talking more about building businesses and things like that, because right now the economy is showing us that more people need to have their own financial stability and not rely on jobs or the government for these things. So we need to put those in effect in our schools. Right. In our schools that are in the city, because I am a witness too, and I could say that in other towns that does happen, and that's why our kids and our communities miss out, because they're not getting that education early on. They're not learning that early on, and not to say that your household should be teaching you this, because we play a part in it. But again, if we didn't learn it,
the Learning
how can we teach
Institute
it?
should imply this. Like they just should. Like I truly feel like I think back, it's like, why didn't we learn this?
We should have.
Why didn't we learn how to manage money? Why didn't we learn like about credit? Why didn't we learn all these things? Like, you're feeding us all this crap.
Right.
That honestly
about history.
About your history. Your history. You know what I'm saying? Like the you know what I mean? The things that you want to tell us that happened. But it's like, where's all the things that's gonna hold value when we get into the world?
And that's what we need. And that's what we need. And so, you know, for me, I've worked in the financial world and I've worked in the educational world.
Right.
You know, so the knowledge that I have, I want to, again, apply those within the nonprofit organization that I'm creating too.
That's beautiful.
And you know, I'm just going to continue to work on it every day. So I have the book, and you know, I'm hoping that other things come about for it. I hope that my platform grows stronger, so that I'm able to use it for these things, and I'm able to, you know, be able to provide more assistance, be able to help more. I really want to do that, and just see whatever next comes. You know, see whatever next comes. I'm definitely ready for it. But while waiting for the next thing, I have to prepare myself for it by gaining more knowledge and, you know, and healing. And this is what the book is about, me healing. Right. Because when I was asked to go do a show, I wasn't thinking like talking my business, crazy, you know. But I wasn't healed at the time that I was doing that. Right. So in earlier interviews, you'll like, I'm still like, I don't even know what to say really, because these things are not things that I've gotten over.
Right, true.
These are things that I'm not done with. There's still loose ends in all of these things. So that was like a force to start facing these things. No more catching flights and running from this. You gotta sit here and you gotta face this. So I actually just started to face it during doing that show. And then now that I've done it and you know, okay, I get it. I kind of get it. Not all the way there, but I'm working on it. Right. You know, working on it. Writing the book, facing it, accepting it, acknowledging it, respecting it. Right. You know, this is my story. You know, this is about me. This is who I am.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
I think good and bad, you gotta embrace.
And I take it all. I take every single last piece of it. I'm responsible for wrong that I've done, and I'm giving back. You know, I'm giving back. And moving forward.
That's what counts.
Yeah, and that's what it is for me.
And that's why I truly appreciate your story. Like, I really do. Genuinely, I'm not even just saying that. Like, I really
appreciate
do.
That.
Because again, like I said, I was drawn to it from the jump. I was like, oh, like, this is crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't even think my story don't even belong in there. It didn't even belong in there.
There's a place for it. But it was in there. There's a place
you know,
for it all.
It stood out because it wasn't, you know, in there. Like going to the Breakfast Club was like, whoa, this is a lot. It's a lot of things. Talking to different people, it's a lot of things. But I'm a friendly person anyway. Yeah. But I'm also kind of shy with stuff, you know. And this has been like someone come out and say any other time, like, come out your mouth asking me, you know, you know what I mean. But I respect it because that's the position that I'm in at this time. So I just want to keep on as I talk to people like you and others. It helps me to grow, to heal from it, and like really face it. Like I've been saying, well, I'm over it, but obviously I wasn't over it because when I'm asked it, I choke up. I'm, you know, like not comfortable with it. But now I'm comfortable. Right. I'm okay with anyone not liking it. I'm okay with anyone being upset with it. Right. I'm okay of being called whatever, thief or whatever you want to. I'm okay with that. Right. Because I know today how I have always stood on my own too. And if you wasn't a person that was standing there with me, I can't even be mad about it.
What does that matter?
I can't even be mad at it. So I'm just happy that today I could say that because I didn't always feel like it was cool to. I can't admit that I was that person. That doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's real.
I'm done with the look. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Everything is what it is. That's the mentality you get. That once you get there, it's like you're that much closer to finding like that peace.
Exactly. You know? And that's what it's all about right now. It's about peace for me. It's about peace and growth for my family, and I always want to learn new things, see new places, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I hope that I'm able to use my story to to reach other people, to help them to get to that place. You know,
No.
it's not all darkness all the time. It can be good.
I definitely feel like you're doing that, and I definitely want to commend you.
Thank you.
Like I said, anybody coming from something like that, or you know what I mean, it's just being able to speak about it. That takes super courage, and I truly respect that. I truly respect that you came to this platform, a platform again that I'm building. I'm just building. And
I feel honored that you asked me to come, because I know when you're trying to start something, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
You know, and then you might, you know, you have this vision, and then it's like, oh, I call this person, and then it comes. I totally get it, and I was so happy that you reached back out to me, and you didn't think that I just always never want nobody to think I'm Hollywood or nothing. So I'm so glad that you reached back out. I was praying that you wasn't. I was not gonna lie. I'm like, shit. But I understand. Like, okay, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? My ego's not too bruised. But not at all. You'll never see me. You'll never catch me being too. No. I was just at Walmart before coming here.
That's real. That's real.
Scarf on my head, everything. You know, I'm always. I think that I've always been a humble person. Yeah. I think the money kind of, makes you sometimes. I mean, that's here and there, Yeah. But for the most part, I'm a humble person. There's no difference between me and another person. Mm-hmm. I'm still the same person if I wasn't on some show, or if I was on a show. This is who I am, and I don't switch that for nothing.
And that's I'm okay with that. That's what makes you a real one.
I'm alright with it.
I mean, just let the people know where they can find you.
Okay.
Let them know, just let them know everything that's going on.
Okay. Well, the best place to reach me, like he knows, is my Instagram, because I know how to use that. So my Instagram is it's ms.yana.bean. So that's Miss.Ayana Bean. On my Instagram, it's the same for my Twitter. So Miss.Ayana Bean. Same for Facebook, Miss.Ayana Bean. I don't have, those are the only 3 social medias that I have right now. Hit me up if you want to. Like, I really do try to reach out to people. I know, I have people on my team that say, you can't be so available, but it's like, I haven't reached that point where I'm not where I don't feel like I'm far from, from that right now. So I'm interested to hear from people and hear their thoughts, and if you have something going on, I'll any way that I could support it, I'd love to support them. But I have that, so be on the lookout for my book that's going to be coming out. Right. It's called A Year and a Day. The book gives you more depth of my life growing up, how I grew up, different situations for myself, and how I actually felt about those situations, how I actually heal and move on from the way that I used to live and that I used to think, and how it's possible for everyone to do so. So look out for that. I will definitely be announcing it, and of course you'll have.
Please, that's what I was about to say. I need my copy.
Definitely have it. And look out for my nonprofit organization. We'll be doing more with that. It's called Sisters United for Change. So you'll start seeing a lot of things coming up over the next few months. With the coronavirus, of course, that kind of limits some things, but you will definitely see those things on social media. I'll be announcing them all the time. And just stay tuned to see what's next. I hate when people ask me what's next, because I never know what to say. Someone asks me, okay, so you did that, now what's next? I don't know. Listen, I hope everything.
Just stay tuned, follow her on those platforms that she said, and you will know what's next.
Absolutely.
So again, thank everybody.
Thank you.
I want to thank you again. I'm humbled.
Thank you.
I seriously am humbled. Seriously, this means a lot to me. It really does. And I'm the type of person, I'm going to keep in contact with you.
Yes.
If you're like, I did this and I'm keeping in contact with you.
No, absolutely.
Whether you like it or not.
Tell him to make sure that y'all make sure he stays in contact.
I'm going to take contact with you. We got it on camera.
Got it on camera.
But again, this was another edition of Actuality Speaks, where if it ain't real talk, please be quiet. I'll get at you.
Okay. Nice.